Welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the most captivating and dramatic moments from the world of television series. Anything can happen, and there are unexpected surprises you wouldn't expect. Would you react the same way I did when Shanice announced she was pregnant? Oh my god, what a shock! Keep watching to see how the characters react. The grand ballroom was meticulously designed to be a sanctuary of celebration, a glittering testament to Eva's milestone birthday. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm, golden glow over the elaborately arranged floral centerpieces, while soft, ambient music floated through the air, attempting to mask the heavy, suffocating tension that had been brewing beneath the surface for weeks. Eva had poured her absolute heart and soul into preparing for this evening, desperately hoping that for just one night, the deeply fractured pieces of her family could simulate some semblance of normalcy. Yet, the opulent surroundings only served as a stark, mocking contrast to the profound anxiety gnawing relentlessly at her insides. She stood near the edge of the room with a forced, fragile smile plastered on her face, while her eyes darted nervously across the gathered crowd. The air was incredibly thick with unspoken resentments and buried secrets, a volatile powder keg waiting for a single, disastrous spark. Eva's profound dread was not merely about the logistics of a party. It was a deep-seated, agonizing fear for her father's future. A future that seemed entirely at the mercy of the warring women dominating his life. Okay, I've been thinking about this and wow, just wow. We really need to talk about what just happened at Eva's birthday party. Or wait, maybe we should actually call it the Shanice and Ted disaster zone because honestly, that is exactly what it turned into. I mean, Eva was just trying to have a nice time, you know? It's her birthday, but then Shanice drops this massive, earth-shattering bombshell right in the middle of everything. She announces she's pregnant, boom. Just like that, the whole atmosphere of the room completely shifts. But wait, let me back up for a second, because if we just look at the announcement itself in a vacuum, we are completely missing the entire psychological underpinning of this whole scene. Actually, no, I should definitely mention the Nicole situation first. Because without Nicole, none of this makes sense, right? Or maybe it does, but Nicole is definitely the primary catalyst here. Basically, what happened was Shanice saw Ted getting way too close, way too intimate with Nicole, his ex, and that just set her off completely. You could see the sheer, unadulterated jealousy radiating off her. It was palpable, like you could cut the tension with a knife. What am I saying? Oh, right, the jealousy. So, Shanice is standing there watching Ted and Nicole, and her brain just goes into absolute overdrive. She realizes she needs to win him back, and she needs to do it right now. Because, and let's not forget this crucial historical detail, Shanice and Ted were already on incredibly thin ice. Their relationship was hanging by a thread. They were literally standing on the precipice of a massive, make-or-break conversation regarding their future. The kind of heavy talk that usually ends with someone packing a suitcase and slamming a door. Their dynamic was stretched so tight it was about to snap. So, in this moment of absolute, blinding desperation, what does Shanice do? She throws a massive Hail Mary pass. She publicly announces she's pregnant to shock him into staying. But, is it a Hail Mary if it's actually true? Wait, hold on. I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Let's just focus on the timing for a second. The timing is suspicious. It's incredibly, overwhelmingly suspicious. And nobody in that room knows this better than Leslie. Okay, wait a minute. Let me say that again so it makes sense. Leslie doesn't just know the announcement is suspicious, she absolutely thrives on it. Leslie has this deep, almost cellular-level hatred for Shanice, mostly because of Ted. Their history is just a complete minefield of grudges and betrayals. So the exact second the words "I'm pregnant" leave Shanice's mouth, you can literally see the malicious gears turning in Leslie's head. She doesn't even pause to offer a fake, polite congratulations. She instantly sees a golden, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to absolutely destroy Shanice's life. It's like watching a predator smelling a drop of blood in the water. Leslie immediately starts planting these little, toxic seeds of doubt. She starts implying, very subtly at first, and then not so subtly at all, that this whole pregnancy is just a desperate, pathetic trap to keep Ted from leaving her. She frames it as a classic manipulation tactic, and she does it so smoothly. And Ted, oh, poor confused Ted, basically, he just completely crumbles under the pressure. I mean, not exactly crumbles, but something kind of like that. He is visibly shocked. He is in a state of total, paralyzing bewilderment. You would normally think a guy hearing he's going to be a father would have at least a fleeting moment of joy or surprise. But no. Because of Leslie's immediate whispering campaign, Ted is plunged into this profound state of cognitive dissonance. He's looking right at Shanice, the woman he's supposedly committed to, but he's hearing Leslie's venomous, calculating logic echoing in his brain, and terrifyingly, it makes horrible sense to him. He starts asking himself, why now? Why right after I was talking to Nicole? Why right before our big relationship-ending talk? Ted is suddenly paralyzed by doubt. He starts questioning absolutely everything about Shanice's sincerity. And honestly, I kind of don't blame him. Or maybe I do, I don't know. It's a really complicated emotional landscape to navigate. Let's analyze this from a structural narrative perspective for a moment. The fake pregnancy trope is a classic staple, and Leslie is absolutely convinced that this is a lie. She's already quietly launching this clandestine, underground investigation, absolutely determined to find the smoking gun. She wants medical records, pharmacy receipts, whatever she can possibly get her hands on to expose Shanice as a fraud and ruin her plans. And when you look at Shanice's core motivation, the raw desperation, the intense jealousy over Nicole, it perfectly aligns with the profile of a fabricated pregnancy. It's a textbook manipulation tactic. She desperately needed something monumental to shock Ted into staying. And what's more shocking than a baby? So Leslie's hypothesis is incredibly sound. It's highly logical. It fits the behavioral pattern of a cornered, jealous partner perfectly. But that doesn't explain why. Wait. What if she is actually pregnant? Okay, I know I just spent 5 minutes saying the exact opposite, but listen to me for a second. What if the real tragedy here isn't that Shanice is lying, but that she's actually telling the absolute truth, and nobody believes her? The clues we have, the subtle hints dropped, suggest there's a very real possibility that the pregnancy is 100% genuine. Shanice may tie that Shanice is really pregnant. If that is actually the case, this fundamentally changes the entire dynamic of the storyline. It instantly shifts Shanice from being a manipulative, scheming villain to a tragic, misunderstood victim of incredibly bad timing and Leslie's relentless, malicious interference. Imagine being genuinely pregnant, feeling incredibly vulnerable, and trying to save your failing relationship, only to have the father of your child look at you with utter suspicion and disgust because his toxic rival or whatever Leslie is to him at this point is whispering poison in his ear. That is incredibly dark and depressing. Strange, really strange. The whole thing is just so strange. Because on one hand, we have Leslie inching closer and closer to discovering the truth about the fake pregnancy. And on the other hand, we have the looming, massive question of if it's real. Is it a new beginning for them? It's basically like Schrodinger's pregnancy at this point. The baby is simultaneously entirely real and entirely fake until someone actually takes a legitimate medical test on screen for us to see. And this horrible ambiguity is just tearing Ted apart from the inside out. Will he choose to believe the heartfelt, albeit highly desperate, pleas of Shanice? Or will he fall for the cold, calculated, yet disturbingly plausible logic of Leslie? Ted is completely trapped in an echo chamber of his own deep-seated insecurities, which are being massively amplified by the two women pulling his mind in completely opposite directions. It's a brutal psychological tug-of-war, and Ted is rapidly losing his mind. Anyway, the main point is... Wait, what was the main point I was trying to make? Oh right, Eva. We absolutely cannot forget about Eva in all of this chaos. Poor Eva. It was supposed to be her birthday party. You know, a normal celebration with cake, presents, a fleeting moment of joy and familial warmth. Instead, she gets a front row seat to the spectacular, fiery implosion of the adults around her. She is forced to just stand there and witness this incredibly tense, highly dramatic charade unfold in her living room. Her special day is completely and utterly annihilated by Shanice's shocking announcement and Leslie's immediate, ruthless sabotage. But it's not just about a ruined party. That's a very superficial observation to make. The much deeper analysis here is how this toxic environment actively affects Eva's fragile psyche. Eva is already carrying the weight of the entire world on her shoulders. She's dealing with her own severe, undisclosed personal issues, and she has this deep, profound, gnawing anxiety about her father's future. The tension in that house is literally suffocating her. When she sees Leslie, her own mother, acting so ruthlessly, so maliciously, just absolutely reveling in the chaos and pain she's causing, it has to do some serious, lasting psychological damage to Eva. She's watching her mother gleefully orchestrate a targeted campaign of destruction against another human being. And she's watching Ted, a man she presumably cares about or at least is tied to through family dynamics, being emotionally tortured and manipulated. Where does her loyalty even lie in a situation like this? Actually, let's dive a little deeper into Eva's specific dilemma. Will she eventually side with Ted, bravely standing up against her own mother's venomous, manipulative schemes? Or will she be completely paralyzed by the complex familial bond, unable to stop Leslie's destructive rampage even though she knows it's wrong? Eva is the ultimate collateral damage in this vicious war between Shanice and Leslie. She is the supposedly objective observer who is completely traumatized by the intense subjectivity and selfishness of the combatants. She sees Leslie's sick, gleeful enjoyment of the mess. She sees Shanice's raw, unfiltered desperation. She sees Ted's pathetic, wavering confusion. It's an absolute masterclass in dysfunctional family dynamics, and Eva is trapped right in the dead center of the blast radius with nowhere to hide. Let's pivot back to Leslie for a second, because her specific motivations are endlessly fascinating to me. Maybe it's not important, but I noticed something. I noticed that Leslie doesn't just want to prove Shanice wrong. She actively wants to humiliate her as publicly as possible. It's not enough to just pull Ted aside and tell him her suspicions privately. The fact that she starts this whole interrogation at Eva's party, well, okay, Shanice started the drama. But Leslie immediately escalated it to a public spectacle shows a complete and utter disregard for collateral damage. Leslie's hatred for Shanice is so intense, so completely blinding, that she is perfectly willing to destroy her own daughter's birthday celebration just to score a petty point. It's a terrifying, almost psychopathic level of vindictiveness. It's like she doesn't even actually care about Ted's happiness or well-being. She solely cares about maximizing Shanice's misery. And what about Shanice's internal state? If she really is faking it, she has crossed a massive moral event horizon. Using a fake pregnancy to trap a man is an unforgivable offense in the soap opera playbook. It's the ultimate sin. It basically guarantees that when the truth inevitably comes out, she will lose him forever, and she deserves it. But if she is telling the truth, her intense desperation makes her look incredibly guilty. Her blinding jealousy over Nicole forced her hand prematurely. She essentially weaponized her own unborn child to mark her territory against a rival, which is, frankly, a terrible, toxic foundation for building a family. Either way you look at it, Shanice is operating from a place of extreme emotional deficit and panic. She's absolutely terrified of losing Ted, but her frantic actions are actively driving him further away. It's a tragic, self-fulfilling prophecy of abandonment playing out in real time. So, where does this entire mess go from here? I'm trying to piece together a predictive scenario based on these scattered clues, but my brain is jumping all over the place. Let's assume Leslie actually finds evidence of a fake pregnancy. Maybe she bribes a shady doctor, or finds a discarded negative test in the trash that actually belonged to someone else. She triumphantly presents this fabricated or misunderstood evidence to Ted. Ted, who is already heavily primed for doubt, absolutely explodes. He yells, he screams, he kicks Shanice out into the cold. But then and here is the classic dramatic twist Shanice faints from the stress. She's rushed to the emergency room, and an emergency ultrasound confirms that there actually is a baby. The crushing guilt Ted would feel in that moment would be astronomical. But would that guilt be enough to repair the sacred trust that was just utterly shattered? Or alternatively, what if Leslie finds out the pregnancy is 100% real, but she maliciously hides the evidence? What if she deliberately doctors a medical report to make it look fake, intentionally pushing Ted to abandon a genuinely pregnant Shanice? Oh man, that would be deliciously, unforgivably evil. I mean, I don't know. It's just a thought I had. But the whole situation is a massive, ticking powder keg. The future happiness of Shanice and Ted is absolutely hanging by the thinnest of threads. I honestly don't think a baby, whether it's real or a complete fabrication, has the magical power to fix a relationship that is this deeply broken. Especially with Leslie actively hacking away at the foundations with a sledgehammer every single day. Ted has to make a definitive choice. He has to decide, once and for all, who he actually trusts. And right now, his moral and emotional compass is completely broken. He's lost in the dense fog of Leslie's manipulation, Shanice's desperation, and his own lingering, confusing feelings for Nicole. It's a disaster. A beautiful, captivating, absolute train wreck of a disaster. And I cannot wait to see how it all violently blows up in their faces. Wait, did I cover everything? The party, the pregnancy, Nicole, Leslie's investigation, Eva's trauma, yeah, I think so. But honestly, who knows what tomorrow's episode will bring? I'm exhausted just thinking about it.